Ladies and gentlemen, now I'm going to be honest, when I first heard about a King of Fighters collab coming to 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross, I was very skeptical. I thought it was just Netmarble's way to kind of promote their King of Fighters All-Star game. However, it looks really well done. There are going to be 4 new characters, and we have a lot to talk about in today's video. All 4 of the characters as well, because I was kind of worried that they were going to be like throwaway characters and not really that well done or interesting, but at least on paper, all 4 of them seem like they could be really fun additions to the game, and also open up and enhance kind of existing characters and combos that maybe are a little bit underrated at the moment, and also bring back certain setups as well. So yeah, watching all of this stuff, man, and seeing all the work that they've put into this collab actually got me really pumped up about this King of Fighters collab. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great event on the JP version. Again, we have no idea how long till we get it on global. Now, apologies if I'm a bit rubbish on the pronunciation of these names, but the first character, Kyo, actually looks crazy, man. This character, he looks like he'd be insane for both PvE and also PvP. So he has this passive, which at the start of your turn, every single turn, applies 2 ignite effects onto every single opponent. And this is mad. This is so ridiculous. We'll talk about it more as we go throughout the video. But this is like Melascula's commandment, but like 5 times better, because it can never apply to you and always applies to all of the opponents as well. And on top of that, both of his cards scale off debuffs and also ignite. So the first card deals 20% more damage for every single debuff on the opponent, and his second card is a cleave card, which deals 25% more damage for every single ignite. And again, at the start of the match and at the start of every single turn, you get 2 more ignites. So it's just really easy to keep on stacking up those ignites. And on top of that, when it comes to PvP as well, a very popular combination is the Blue Festival King and Hendrickson debuff team. And on that team, if they've got at least 2 debuffs, then they cannot cleanse any debuffs off them. So yeah, in combination with those 2 characters, man, I think it's going to be really good, plus also enhances the damage of both of them. So yeah, I think that's going to be a very powerful cleave team. But yeah, this character just looks amazing for all sorts of stuff. He also has an ultimate, which deals not the craziest amount of single target damage, it's just over 700%, but it also applies a couple of ignites to every single opponent for 3 turns there as well. So yeah, everything combined, man, this character looks really solid for himself and the team. The next character we got is Omega Rugal. Now, Omega Rugal has a Pierce card, exactly the same as Hauser or Blue Demon Meliodas. He's also the only character they showcased that didn't have any gear equipped as well, so the numbers, comparatively speaking, are going to be a little bit lower, but also his second card deals single target damage and also reduces attack-related stats for 2 turns. So it's not really the craziest card or the worst card either, but then finally you've got his ultimate, which deals just over 1,050% damage as charge damage. So that completely ignores defense. Now, the interesting thing about Omega is that he has this passive ability. If he's hit below 50% health, then he heals up to full and removes all debuffs on him. So potentially could be a very strong Pierce character, has some viability in the current PvP meta, but yeah, he looks interesting. Then next up we got Athena. So she has this card which is exactly the same as Blue SSR Arthur. So you've got 500% attacker's damage off the gold, plus she also stuns. On top of that, she also has a detonate single target card, so that's going to deal even more damage for every ult gauge the opponent has as well. And also her ultimate deals a lot of damage but also applies stun as well. Now, the very interesting thing about this character is she has this passive ability that only applies to PvP. Now, if we got the translation correct, it means every time you kill an opponent, then it drains 2 ult gauge off the rest of the team. So it allows you to drain ult gauge just by nuking down and focusing on a single character. So yeah, that seems like a really interesting addition for ult gauge control to the current PvP meta. So yeah, this could be really good in certain teams and setups, and it didn't specify that you needed it on the front line to actually work. So if she could be a backline unit, for example like King or Merlin, with that passive, man, it'd make her incredibly strong and probably see a lot of play in future PvP metas as well. Then finally, we've got Mai, who looks really interesting. So she's got the same single target drain card as Red Helbram and also Green Merlin, but also she has this AoE Amplify card. An Amplify, if you can't remember off the top of your head, is the card that deals more damage for every single buff that you've got on the character. So I believe she's the first character to have a Cleave Amplify card that hits all of the opponents. And I think with certain team comps, man, this could be really, really good. But also, she has a really interesting passive ability, which means whenever you rank up cards, and you can do this via her ultimate deals a lot of single target damage, but also ranks up all of her cards as well. So you're going to see after this all, everything gets ranked up, and then she gets a buff that increases her stats by 15% for 2 turns. But this comes in the form of like a standard like Arthur buff, so it's 3 different buffs, which counts 3 times for the Amplify card there. So yeah, I think she's going to be a really interesting unit, and also just merging cards as well, as you're going to see in some of the gameplay, also gives her that very same buff. So yeah, watching the live stream earlier, what I really liked is all of the characters, they seem quite fun and interesting, and my mind was just racing with all sorts of teams and setups that we can potentially build around all 4 of them. But yeah, all 4 of them look good on paper, but again, there is a big difference between characters looking good on paper and them actually being good, so we're going to have to wait till tomorrow to test them out. But now we have a little bit of a look at some of their gameplay. There's going to be like this really cool like arcade arena battle mode where you can take on all sorts of opponents and get like Super Awakening coins. The teams that you're going up against are fixed, but the rewards for it look really, really good. There's also like a story and also a final boss and a few other events on top of that as well. So it kind of looks like they've really gone all out for this collab, man. It looks really, really impressive. I was kind of expecting like it not being Attack on Titan, for them to have like dulled down the amount that they were going to do for this collab. But yeah, it really does look like there's going to be so much content coming with this collab, and also on top of it as well, instead of the Attack on Titan collab that gave you like 2 free multis on the banner, this collab gives you 5 free multis on the banner. So crazy, man. 55 free summons, and I think having like 4 SSR characters on the banner, there's a pretty good chance that even free-to-play players are probably going to get 1 or 2 of these characters for free. Maybe all 4 if they are really, really lucky though. Now, this battle here is going to give you a bit of an idea of just like how crazy valuable Kyo's passive is, because at the start of every single turn, you apply 2 more ignites to the opponent. And this is crazy that it happens at the start of your turn as well, because it means that the opponent has no chance to cleanse these ignites. And that is just absolutely amazing. It means every single turn you've got like 20% additional damage just having this character on the team, but 40% if they didn't cleanse off the previous turn, and if they don't have cleanse, again, this can quickly ramp up to anywhere between like a 60 to 90% damage increase. This character as well, he looks like he hits like a friggin' truck, man. I think out of all 4 collab characters, I'm probably excited about him the most. So now it's the enemy turn, and moving into turn number 3, then 2 more ignites apply, so then you've got a 60% damage increase. And yeah, I think in combination with characters like Monspeed that have weak point damage that kind of scale their damage based off debuffs as well, potentially with like Green King or characters that have that rune effect to detonate debuffs. There's just all sorts of crazy combos and synergies that this character could open up, and I think in this initial showcase match, man, he really does like steal the entire match with just how crazy ridiculous this character is. For some reason here, they were just having a little bit of an inspect of Hauser just to check out his moves for some reason. I'm really not too sure, but here they use a Mai card, and again, because they don't have any buffs on Mai and they haven't merged any cards, the damage really isn't going to be too impressive. And then Kyo is just going to mop up the match, man. His damage really is so crazy once you get him going, and it's just mad that like he scales so well off his own ignite effects as well. So yeah, he looks like he's probably going to be stealing the show with the patch tomorrow, but again, you're not really too sure until you get to play the characters for yourself. But like just looking at some of this stuff, man, it really does look like he's going to be a very impressive unit. Now, on top of that fighting event and loads of additional stuff, we also have a new final boss. We got final boss Omega Rugal, and via fighting him, there's a whole story. You get some costumes for him as well, but he also has these 2 nodes which increase damage taken from the King of Fighters collab characters, but also reduce the damage that he deals to these characters by 50%. Overall, I don't think there's anything like too crazy I saw in this final boss, which I think is a good thing, man, because we've just had like final boss Escanor on JP, and final boss Escanor is absolutely brutal, so this one seems like a bit of a welcome break. But it looks like with the nodes, collab characters probably are going to be the best ones to use, and again with this collab you are going to get 5 free multis throughout the course of it. So yeah, maybe it's not going to be too bad, but I think like looking at some of the nodes and abilities that he was chucking out, I believe there are going to be quite a few ways to deal with this character, so he shouldn't be anywhere near as bad as final boss Escanor. Also, I've just got on double speed here just because they were taking a bit of their time looking at the abilities and figuring out the play. If you've been paying a bit of attention, what you'll notice as well is Kyo's passive can also apply to this final boss. So yeah, it just allows him to really quickly stack up the ignites and just make everybody hit like a friggin' truck. There, they should have definitely gone for the merger on Mai before firing off the cards there, because she needs those buffs in order to deal a lot more damage off her amplify cards. So the plays were a little bit weird here, but we can also see some of the additional ultimate damage, which is really cool. So they're going for a double single target nuke there, 84,000 damage, and then 135,000 damage. Kyo's damage is looking nuts, and then we got Athena's ultimate for just under 400,000 damage there. So all of their ultimates hit quite hard. I think Kyo has the lowest hitting ultimate, but it also applies 2 stacks of ignite to everybody as well. So that's kind of a little bonus effect, and I imagine as well with like all of the ignites, it still like further increases that ult damage. Although Mai didn't use any cards last turn, she also got a natural merger into silver, which has given her all of the buffs that she has on her at the moment. Again, I'm not too sure, they didn't show it in the showcase whether or not the buffs are actually able to be stacked, but I would imagine with the disadvantage in this fight, Mai probably isn't the best option for this final boss, because he is a green final boss, she's a blue character, so yeah, it didn't really seem like she was dealing too much damage there, even with the buffs active. So I think Athena and also Kyo are probably going to be 2 of the best characters from the collab for this boss, and because Omega is the boss, it means you can't bring him versus the final boss Omega there. But yeah, that's a little bit of a taster. We can see some of the ult damage as well, and after Mai's ult, it also ranks up all of her cards and refreshes the buff. But yeah, he really doesn't seem too bad, and also you're not ult locked going into that final phase as well, so I would assume there are going to be some cheesy strategies that just involve like one-shotting him with various characters' ults that hit very, very hard, or like a combination of 2 very hard-hitting ults, so it really doesn't seem too bad. It looks like as well, if you don't get him down quick enough in the final phase, he assumes this stance for 2 turns, which reflects damage, but then also heals for 30% of his health at the end of every turn. So it's kind of like Rimaru's, aside from it has like a damage reflect on it as well. But yeah, it doesn't really seem too bad, man. It's only like 50% damage reflect that you get, which is a little bit, but it's not too much. You can definitely like play around that and get through it. And I don't know this for a fact, but I assume you can probably use characters that cancel stances as well as a potential way to get around that. But yeah, it seems like looking at this boss and everything in play, there is a lot you can do to deal with him. So he seems like a pretty nice final boss, and certainly a lot easier than the final boss Barn and Escanor that we've recently had on JP, both of which were really quite annoying. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on the King of Fighters collab. Personally, after everything that I've seen today, I'm really excited for it tomorrow, man. We're going to be doing a ton of videos looking at new characters, bosses, modes of gameplay. So yeah, if you do want to support the channel, and if you did enjoy today's breakdown, please do smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. But aside from that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.